I'm Carla from Portuguese with Carla, and on this video, we'll be teaching you how to read and pronounce Portuguese words just like a Portuguese native would. So specifically, we'll be focusing on which bit of a word we emphasize. So let's do it. Sílabas e sílaba tónica, syllables and the strong syllable within a word. Every word is divided into syllables, unless the word is only one syllable. For that reason, we're going to be looking into words that have at least two or more syllables. And just so you know and be aware that every single word has one strong syllable that you should emphasize. That's what I mean by strong syllable. Now, there's 3 rules to bear in mind to know which one we should emphasize when we're pronouncing words or when we're reading in Portuguese. The first rule is the second to last syllable, the penultimate one, always takes the emphasis. Always, unless there's specific letters at the end of the word. Those specific letters we'll be looking into. There's about 5. And there's also the rule that will overrule the other 2 I just mentioned, which is the diacritics, the little symbols over the vowels. First rule, penultimate syllable, the second to last, counting from the end. Universidade, universidade. That's where I put the emphasis on a DA, that's my second to last syllable. Cinema, not cinema, because cinema has 3 syllables, si-ne-ma. Therefore, the NE is my strong syllable. That's where I put the emphasis. Cinema. Economia. Economia. Now, maybe many of you would think that the I, A are part of the same syllable. And maybe you'd put the emphasis on the NO, economia. But you cannot do that because actually an I and A in that order at the end of the word are actually part of 2 different syllables. The A is 1 syllable by itself. And the MI on that particular word is the syllable that you should emphasize. Economia. Such as, we can look into similar examples, words that rhyme, such as Maria, pizzaria, gostaria, and so on. Another word with 2 syllables is esta, esta, esta. And pay attention to this word because there will be another word that's very similar to this one, but it's pronounced in a different way. Now, the other example for second to last syllable rule, banco, banco, carro, carro. And maybe with these two words, you barely heard the O at the end. Banco, carro. A lot of people sometimes when they copy us or copy the Portuguese speakers, the natives, they say banco, carro. But we actually do pronounce the O at the end. It's very subtle. And the only reason it's subtle is because we're putting the emphasis on the other syllable. Banco, carro. Okay, but it's there. And carta, carta. Last example for this rule, fazem, fazem. Not fazem or fazem. No, fazem. The M is not one of those letters that should make you put the emphasis at the end. Okay, so it's nasal, true, but it doesn't change where you put the emphasis. Fazem. Now, the letters that will make a difference right at the end of a word are 2 vowels, I and U, and the consonants L, Z, and R. Now, it so happens that the vowels U and I, if they're followed by an M or an NS, you should still put emphasis on that last syllable as well. Okay, let's look into examples. So we'll focus on the consonants first. The L, papel, not papel, papel. Casal, not casal, casal. Capaz, not capas. Capas is actually a word, but not this one. Capaz. Not capus, capuz. And saborear, with an R at the end. Saborear. Contentor. Contentor. And now the vowels. Compreendi. Compreendi. Falei. Falei. Comeu. Comeu. Falou. Now I'm not saying falou, and maybe a lot of people in the north of Portugal will pronounce it that way. They will actually be a bit more clearer. You'll understand that there is actually an O and a U there. But what is classed as the standard Portuguese accent is not that clear. It's just, but you can tell that we are definitely putting the emphasis on the last syllable. Falou. It just sounds like a no with a hat over it, doesn't it? But that's how we pronounce it normally. Falou. And then words that end with um, algum, algum, and nenhum, nenhum. I am, amendoim, amendoim, pinguim, pinguim. Accents or diacritics. Now symbols over the vowels, not the little cedilla under the C, that doesn't count as an accent. We're talking about the symbols above the vowels. This rule will overrule all the others. Doesn't matter about the penultimate syllable, doesn't matter what letter is at the end if you have a diacritic on your word. Familia. Now, if the diacritic wasn't there over the I, and pay attention to that, because sometimes it's easy to miss the little acute accent over an I because you just assume it's a dot. But it's a different shape, so pay attention to that so you know where to put the emphasis. Now, as I was saying, if the accent wasn't there, you would say familia and farmacia. But the accent is there, so you say familia, familia, and farmácia, farmácia. The other word is está. Again, 2 syllables. You don't really hear the E because we're not saying it. Very rarely we actually pronounce it está. We wouldn't. We'd say está. Sometimes we go as far as dropping the S, tá. But anyway, that's another lesson. Está. So this is the word I was talking about, very similar to the other one. Without the accent over the A, it's just esta. Esta and está are 2 complete different words, even though they have the exact same letters in the same order. But that little diacritic makes a huge difference in the meaning and in how we pronounce it. Esta, está. Salão, salão. Now the still makes it nasal. You put the emphasis there, but you also pronounce the vowel in a nasal way. Salão. Você, você. That's with a circumflex. And if that circumflex wasn't there, or any other diacritic over the E, that means the E should be silent. We should be saying vos. But because the accent is there, we put the emphasis there and we open up the E. We pronounce the E clearly. Você. Irmã. Irmã. Fácil. Fácil. Difícil. Difícil. Now these last two are quite interesting because they end with an L. So you'd think, oh, okay, I should be saying fácil, difícil. And many of you sometimes do that. But there is a diacritic on a vowel, on the A with the word fácil. So we can't say fácil, we have to say fácil. And the same for difícil. 3 I's, but the middle I has an acute accent. Difícil, not difícil, difícil. Okay? Now, something I really want to mention is, just in case you stumble upon any words such as those that I'm going to say, some words, very few, have more than one diacritic. Órgão, órfão, bênção. Now, you may have noticed that I put emphasis on the first syllable because the three of them have only two. Órgão, órfão, bem, são. Why did I put emphasis on the first one? Why not on the last? Because if you have two diacritics, they will cancel each other. So forget about the diacritics and look into the basic rule, the penultimate rule. So with those rules in mind, you should be able to start reading Portuguese in a great way. So we hope that helps. But it might be that you're not able to pronounce certain sounds of the Portuguese language, or maybe you haven't learned them yet. And for that reason, we have created 3 other videos that will help you with that. One on the alphabet, second one on tricky sounds of the Portuguese language, and the third one, and the most recent one, on the R, how to pronounce the letter R in Portuguese. There's 2 or 3 different ways to do it. And before you go, we've also prepared an exercise on reading so you can consolidate what you've learned from this video today. So to do that exercise along with me, please go to portuguesewithcarla.com/read. Até já!